Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It's time once again for our weekly painting progress. And despite being completely distracted by recent models that I have shown off on this channel, I did manage to get a couple of things finished. Whether those things were finished to a reasonable standard is entirely up to you. So, yeah, I didn't do the best job on this guy. I'll be the first to admit that. But this is one of the Skyla Legion. Skyla? Skyla? I feel like that C should be silent. From Daka Daka Store, not to be confused with Daka Daka Forum, which is also the creators of Maelstrom's Edge, which got me really confused the first time I came across these guys' stuff, but eventually we figured things out. Anyway, Daka Daka Store has been putting out all kinds of Kickstarters, Frontiers, campaigns, monthly releases of just various armored warriors of the future. And you can tell he has a very reptilian, Hydra-esque look. And I did my best to try to do those scales, and I know it's like at a 3.5 point zoom here, so you'll have to forgive my shoddy paint job. But yeah, I'm sure that's supposed to be based on one of the Horus Heresy guys. I can't tell what's going on really with his face. Unfortunately, I just absolutely marred the quality of the print with a horrid primer job. But we plugged ahead. Nevertheless, like I said, this is super zoomed in, so I don't really care. It doesn't look all that hot, but it'll suffice for the tabletop. But it was a cool little single-piece model. I do want to say that the backpack was a separate piece, but I want to also say this guy was a freebie option with this campaign. So if you're interested, I believe you can actually pick him up and download it for free if you want to give it a look. A lot of their models are pretty well detailed. Obviously, they are going to be proxies for other companies' stuff, and since they have been quite litigious lately, we will refrain from mentioning them. But yeah, it's obviously supposed to be Alpha Legion style. Right? I thought I did everything in like silver, and then I put a green wash over it, and it kind of made it more green. I don't know. I have had many an argument over how to paint these guys correctly. But again, I figure at least from a distance, it'll get the job done. All right. What else do we print? Printed this little dude. Continuing with our Children of the Flame models from the Dragon Trapper's Lodge. We've got this nifty little fast attack kobold, because he's going to get to the battlefield as quick as he can, obviously, right? Honestly, I can't find these guys now, and maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spot, but I want to say this was in the original release prior to the kind of organization of all the other Children of the Flame models. And I'm almost at the point where I can just field a variety of painted units, be they Cobalt or Draxi, which is just kind of a cool feeling to have. But again, there are no male ones with nice basic bolt action rifles. Only the female ones, and the female ones for the month of December, which are actually part of their Patreon right now, have those available. So if you're curious about those, as always, we got those links down below. Take a look. I couldn't actually find the base that this was supposed to be glued to, so the explosion and the rocket were all a single piece. The Cobalt was a separate piece, and then the base itself. And I was all set to just come up with something because it was kind of lopsided. There's actually a nice keyed-in part there at the bottom of it to get it some nice balance and something to attach to. But then, at the last moment, I did find it, so I'm happy about that. Well, yeah, I got a bunch of these Draxi dudes just, like, floating around on the table here. Random Cobalt. Oh, I guess I did their horns in white. And I'm, like, looking at this guy. Uh-oh. And I gave him black nails. Uh-oh. Their uniforms, at least, are the same color. Maybe I'll go back and touch them up. Or not. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's not like I don't have a million other things that I'd like to paint. I'm like trying to find reasonably good homes for models that I printed eons ago, like when I first got the printer, like during the pandemic, and I just have not gotten around to yet. It's that kind of end of the year cleaning because, you know, it's right there upon us very soon. It's crazy that 2023 is going to be ending already, but yeah, it's easier said than done trying to find a place to put all this stuff. All right, moving on. So I don't know what happened with his skin tone. I was just messing around. This is one of the Undead Evil Samurai guys from Raging Heroes and their Heroes Infinite 3D STL stuff. Didn't do the best job removing those supports. Probably should have clipped things. This is his actual base, but you'll notice there's just kind of a little bit of a noticeable gap between where that rock, which is actually attached to him, and the actual base are supposed to meet. And it looks like he's supposed to have a bunch of the leaves all over his base. That was the theme that we saw. Like, I'm grabbing this guy from the original, and he doesn't have any leaves all over his base. Well, never mind then. He's at a weird angle. He's like kind of ready to leap down and attack, I guess. But they've been some really fun models, I gotta say. In fact, I think when it comes to fantasy samurai, the Raging Heroes ones are my absolute favorites at this point, followed by a very close second with some of Titan Forge's earlier stuff. And I would give the overall prize to Kyoshineko and their samurai range, but that kind of airs more towards, well, at first it was airing more towards the, you know, historical stuff, but it's got plenty of aspects of fantasy in there as well. So that's always cool to see. All right, next up, a random ice lizard. This is one of the Frost Heart lizards from Artisan Guild. I don't post enough Artisan Guild stuff. I'll be the first to admit. I have been a supporter for a long time, many years, and it's like I rarely ever show their stuff, sadly. Andre just puts out some really solid, well-designed models. And it's like, I'd say if you're just getting into 3D printing, this is always a good place to start if you're looking for a very, I don't want to say generic, standard, fantasy standard. I mean, I think Andrea's sculpts really, you know, he's got a lot of the major stuff covered, and with the modular hands, you can kind of make any kind of mix and match to your heart's desire. So yeah, that was a cool one. I've got a bunch of them, and I just could not, honestly, this guy is sitting around for a while, and I could not figure out what to do with his skin tone, so I figured they're supposed to be frosty, northern, icy lizards, so a nice deep blue was going to work with a softer blue on the underbelly, and I probably should put some kind of a shading down there, but I didn't. Deal with it. Alright, I am trying to figure out who is who here. So, I got Colonel Yuri, and I don't remember the name of his mount, all painted up for Bot Wars. The Colonel standing there on the back of his Pteranodon. And I didn't do the greatest job painting that Pteranodon. I'm sorry. Apologies to Trader's Galaxy, because I feel like I did not do the greatest work I have put forth on that Pteranodon. I had a hard time. I wasn't satisfied with... I've repainted and painted this guy. And then I did an awful job gluing him to the stand, which probably didn't help either. But I figure, you know what? They're done. Now that they're done, I mean, Colonel Yuri here, but also General Melkov is not far behind. And I feel like I at least did a better job with him. I was trying to use the actual card art as some sort of a paint guide, but the green armor plating just ended up looking like stripes on him, unfortunately, which I don't think was the intention. I also, that tail, I really wish where the connection point was, it was kind of like that was the only way to put it. I really kind of wish that it had been cut at a separate, like at an actual, like link in his tail, so that way it could have been aiming up a little bit higher. I played around with it for a bit, and it just did not look right, but it's too close to the ground. I'm not a big fan of that. What's funny is, you know, he's actually supposed to be in scale with the other Bot Wars models, which is kind of fun. So, you know, rather than have actual rampaging robots, they've got cyborg dinosaurs running around on the battlefield. Which, hopefully, we're going to see some more of very soon, since our leaders of the Red Star Nations are finished up. That means they can start unleashing their big bad beasties as well. So if you want to see some of those, they might be coming up this week. Hint, hint. And also, if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, as always, we'll have those links down below. I know since we're heading towards the middle of December and the holidays are coming up, I'm trying to figure out when, if I am going to take any vacation time, that is going to be. So I will try to keep everybody informed in that regard. But in the meantime, I know I've got my hands full with, what's his name? Tupikpa, the All-Slayer from Archvillain Games. So if you guys want to see that, hopefully he'll be up here in the next week or so. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out because it's a really cool model. And always do take a look at those links for all of this cool stuff yourself, because I'm sure many of you out there could do a much better job painting it than me. And I'm missing somebody, aren't I? The Raging Heroes Samurai. So not a bad little haul. And considering how absolutely distracted I've been with that big murderous penguin, I'm going to be kind of pleased with my results. So yeah, hopefully everybody out there is staying healthy, staying safe, and staying busy with those paintbrushes. And hopefully you're making those lists up for Santa of all the miniatures you want, right? So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.